Mets. Oh, God, I hate that I have to say this there, Licata.
What, BT? What is
the Mets, last night was the starting point for the Mets. The Mets are going to be a playoff team.
What?
The Mets are going to make the playoffs, and let me tell you why. So, first of all, once they smack around Rodon tonight, and Rodon gets booed mercilessly off the mound and maybe sent to Siberia, that will be another win. And we all know who the Mets are playing after that. You got 4 with the Nats at City, who stink, and then you got 3 in Kansas City, and they stink as well. And I got to tell you, and it's not just a reaction to one game, but Verlander's been pitching really well lately, all right? And I think that kind of gets lost in the overall, complaints about the Mets season, which have been horrendous thus far, obviously. So, but you've got Verlander in the midst of a really nice role. Alonso's starting to wake up, and McNeil is starting to wake up. And I got to tell you, all my chief criticisms of the New York Mets so far this season, and it's been all-encompassing. Starters have stunk. The bullpen has stunk. The defense has stunk. The base running's been shoddy. The manager's been bad, or at least subpar. The GM, don't believe in him. Last night, to me, was one of the few times the Mets have looked like the team many of us thought that they could be this year. Sal, I don't even want to say I want to be wrong, because I'm not that guy. The Mets started their playoff run last night. They will be a playoff team.
Look, as much as I'd love to believe that to be the case, BT, I feel like this is Yankee fan patronizing me and the Met fan, taking away from what was, I'll tell you, a refreshing ball game last night.
Go ahead, revel a little bit. Go ahead. Revel. You beat us. Go ahead.
Watching Alonso hit some bombs, Vogelback of all guys going deep.
Geez,
but I just don't see it. I want to believe. I want you to be right.
I know you do.
I want to believe it. I mean, I want to have excitement about watching this team. We talked about it yesterday. I don't think the Mets should sell, and last night kind of made me feel better about that, watching them win that game. But the playoffs at this point, you look at the standings. There's 7 games back. They got, 5, 6 teams in front of them.
Yep.
Realistically speaking, I just can't logically. Now, look, I don't want to be logical as a fan, right? I want to let that stuff go and enjoy myself here and get excited and think about a sweep tonight. And I'll be flying tomorrow with you if they sweep tonight, if the Mets do sweep the Yankees. But I just don't see it being the case this year. The Mets, Verlander, Scherzer, one of those guys taking game 1 of the postseason series.
Okay, you listen. You can look at it one of 2 ways here, and I understand that when you look at it, and it's a little daunting, the number of games that they're behind. I mean, that's the last thing in terms of the final wild card spot right now. That's the last thing you want to hang your hat on, because it's too much. It's like, how do I process that based on what I've seen for the first 4.5 months of the season? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't mesh. Like, the Mets have not played well enough to sit here and say they're gonna make up that deficit, which is large. But then when you start to pick apart the teams in front of them, this to me is where the little belief comes in, if you're a Mets fan, or if you buy what I'm saying right now. Miami Marlins, they've lost 9 out of 10.
They've come back down to earth.
Yeah, and by the way, something Francesca, after he asked whether or not we've gotten into a fight yet, 30 seconds into a spot last night on SNY, which was fun, by the way.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it. I watched the whole thing, you and JJ and Mike. He brought up a good point about the Padres. The Padres are in financial ruins right now. The Padres are going to have to sell, and it might not just be Soto. So I'm not worried about the Marlins. I'm not worried about the Padres.
You got the Cubs in there.
I'm not worried about the Cubs, who are playing better ball than Miami as well. And the Phillies, up until recently, you guys have always owned them. What did you win, 18 out of 25 before the last series?
Right.
So to me, and then you even go to the 3 wildcard teams. All right, the Diamondbacks, good story, cute little story, whatever, dude. They've lost 7 of 10.
Right.
Don't tell me the Diamondbacks are ready to finish this race. I don't think that they are. And the Giants, too, they have lost 6 out of 10. If the New York Mets, who won last night, and I believe, unfortunately for me, will win tonight, because I don't have a speck of faith that Rodon is going to do it. I think and we'll get to Rodon later, I think he is going to get absolutely eviscerated by the fans tonight.
That's going to be a problem if that is the case.
But you think? So the Mets will win tonight. The Mets will win at least 3 out of 4 against the Nats, and they will sweep the Kansas City Royals. And at that point...
And they'll be buyers.
That's the next point here. And we'll get to the Ohtani, so we'll revisit that as well.
No.
But even if it's not Ohtani, you start to look at this team and you say, all right, pragmatically, how can I How can I look at this team that is so colossally underachieved and make a point and make a case that they're going to make the playoffs? Well, again, the three things that I'm looking at, number one, Verlander resembling an ace. Alonso resembling, and I know it's early, he just went deep twice last night. Both were lasers, by the way.
But still, you see that, you're
lasers. And McNeil, I think, is about to go on a little run where he's going to start cranking out some hits. And if that's the case, and I'm right, which I think I will be, the Mets will be a playoff team.
All right, so
as crazy as that sounds.
So even in a refreshing win last night against the hated Yankees in Yankee Stadium, bombs all over the place for the Mets, which is great, they still frustrate you with guys who come out of the bullpen and Verlander's got to go longer than 6 innings. So, yeah, that's great. He did 6 innings, six scoreless innings, and you take that, obviously.
Yeah.
Verlander's supposed to be going 7 or 8. So let's start acting like the big boy that you're getting paid $43 million and go 7 or 8 innings so you don't have to turn it over to the bullpen who can't throw strikes. These guys come into the game, they walk in the ballpark. The one thing you can't do with a 7-run lead is start walking guys, and yet they do that. So I have no faith that even though I believe the Mets should go trade for relievers, I have no faith that Billy Epler will get the right one, based off of Trevor Gott, certainly, to get Buck what he needs to get this team over the hump. I think you bring up an interesting point about the teams in front of him. I felt that, the Cubs, whatever, not that good. Marlins back down to earth. All those teams. Yep. But still, there are so many of them. And forget about even that, BT, or the number back. Look at the Mets themselves. I've seen too much. I want to believe. I want you to be right. I want you and I to be talking about the Mets and Yankees in the postseason come October. I can't see the Mets getting there.
877-337-6666. It is BT and Sal on the Fan here. We're inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Do you think that this is what I want to say coming out? Day 3 of our new show here.
Oh, I love it. I love
you
the sound of it. I wasn't sure.
You see Vogelback does that little dance step. Not only does he go yard, what was that little move that he busted out when he went deep? Yeah, he's dancing on us.
All of a sudden excited. He found out how to swing a bat and actually could hit a ball. Look what happens when you actually make contact. Vogelback going deep with it. I'm watching that game. I tell you, it was just refreshing. As frustrating as the Mets have been, that was a refreshing performance watching them clobber the Yanks all over the place. And I'm thinking today, BT's going to be angry about his Yankees.
Well, I'll get to them later. There's 2 different stories here, though. I got to be fair to the show.
But the first words out of your mouth when Mets go to the postseason, I'm like,
playoffs.
Sounds good to me. I like it. I don't agree with it. I don't believe it. I think it's the Yankee. It's the same way that for me, I look at the Yankees like they're going to the playoffs, guys. Relax. Like they'll be fine, and when they get there, they'll have a chance. Maybe it's different because I'm a Met fan. It's easier to say. Same thing. I hear you say it, and I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand what it's like to follow this team.
The torture.
I know the pain is coming, BT. I want them to get to the postseason. It's not happening. They never give me joy, ever. Even when they make it last year, they blow the division. They get ousted in the first round. I hope you're right.
877-337-6666. Part of me hopes I'm wrong.
Yeah, right, I'm sure.
All right, I'm sure.
Same thing with me with the Yankees. You think I want to see the Yankees go win the World Series?
No, you want to see them win 83 games and everybody get whacked in complete disarray and anarchy within the Yankee universe, like last night.
It was a thing of beauty last night. In that stadium, too, there's something fun. And I've been there for plenty of the games over the years, the Subway Series. There's something fun about watching the Mets just play long ball at that stadium and dominate the Yankees. That was fun.
Mets fans revel, man. It's a big win. It's the start of the run that's going to get you to the playoffs. Charlie's in Oyster Bay, and he's first up on the Fan. Charlie, what's happening, buddy?
Thank you for taking my call. And,
okay.
And you, I have the I love the WFAN and how all you guys talk to the fans, and but oh my goodness. I'm a San Francisco Giant fan, and we're having a great season. Mm-hmm. But you guys have drunk the Kool-Aid to think that the Mets have a shot. They have to get bodies in here, and they need at least 3 players. And I don't think they're going to do it. And they should have done it already. What are they waiting for?
Hold on, Charlie. Why do they need 3? Charlie, what? 3 position players or 3 like pitchers? What do you mean 3 players?
3 players.
Their first baseman's. Hold on, Charlie. Yeah, their first
players.
baseman's going to hit 40 bombs. Hopefully their catcher's okay, and I think he is. He's going to hit 30 bombs, Alvarez. Lindor's going to hit 30 bombs. McNeil looks like he's starting to find his stroke. What do you mean? What 3 players do they need?
That's what you think they're good right now. to go all the way without tinkering at all?
No, but I know that they're going to tinker.
Well, what are they waiting for?
The trade deadline to
waiting
expire.
for?
What do you mean, dude? It's not here yet.
Let me listen to you. I'm going to hang up and I'll listen to you.
Oh,
BT doesn't like that, yeah.
I don't like that. That's a broken rule there, Mr. Licata. We don't have many rules here.
Here's the thing, BT. It's not that. First of all, you said go all the way. I mean, I'm assuming
Oh,
he
definitely
meant
not saying that.
Yeah,
no, one and done. You guys will get there and then you get stomped like usual.
But to your point, the Mets will need their guys that they have. Like, regardless of who they bring in, and they obviously need to bring in bullpen arms. Regardless of that, they need their guys here to do their job.
Well, that's what I've been saying. And that's why I thought it was really interesting. I asked Sal the first show we did on Monday. I said, all right, assign the highest level of culpability. The player or person, if it was Buck or Billy, because I didn't know what he would say, most culpable for where the Mets are right now. And you said Scherzer.
Right.
And I've heard some of your rants, and they've been on point, and Scherzer's got to stop complaining. Just fix it, or stop saying you're going to fix it, and fix it. So I thought you might say that, but I wasn't 100% sure. But when you did say that, my pushback was always, I get that Scherzer's stealing money, but if the stars remember that they're stars and start playing well, that the Mets can get out of this hole, and maybe more specifically, sure as heck wouldn't be in this hole.
And watch what's going to happen now, because I know what's at BT. It's Buck miss in July, right? Mets playing great baseball in July. Wait till see what happens here. They'll get a good performance tonight. Maybe they sweep the Yankees, whatever. They'll go out there and play well against the Nats, and then Max Scherzer's turn will come up in the rotation, and it's going to be an important start because everyone is for him, and the Mets need to win these series and win these games, and Max again will disappoint, and he'll ruin the momentum because the Mets have had these starts and stops along the way, and every time they have a chance to get to that next level and really keep that momentum going, Scherzer halts it. He's going to do it again. That's why I can't have faith that they're going to get to the postseason. I've seen him specifically fail too many times.
877-337-6666. It's BT and Sound on the Fan. Ted's in Washington, New Jersey. Teddy, what's happening, buddy?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say I do think the Yankees are not going to make the playoffs. I think the Mets will make the playoffs over them, and I'll tell you why. If you look last night, that player, Vientos, the rookie guy.
Vientos, yeah.
Did you see the first time he was up? Did you see the swing on that kid?
Yeah.
Okay. The second time up, what did Boone? I'm assuming Boone. He told that young guy to throw that. You see where he threw that pitch to that kid and hurt his hands? Did you see that?
Yes.
You're talking about Alvarez?
No, when Alvarez got hit. Well, there was 2 hits, so there was 2 hit batters. Yeah.
No. When Vientos got hit.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't like that because I'll tell you why. Last night.
Yeah, but hold on, Teddy. I don't mean.
I'm confused.
You're confusing. Let's get to the point. I'm saying the Mets are going to the playoffs. That this is the start of a very unlikely run. You called up and said you think the Yankees will not make it, and whatever. We're not doing that right now. We'll get to that later. But you said that you think that the Mets will get there. So you agree with me. Why?
Yes, I do. Because just last night I'm watching one thing. Just watching the swing, the swinging of the bats. The Mets swing. Last night, the swinging much better than the Yankees. Last night, the only guy that really swung good was the guy who played right field. He played shortstop.
So fire Sean Casey, Ted. Let's get rid of him too.
The Mets are going. The Mets are going to the playoffs because they're swinging the way the guys are swinging. I don't even know what the hell this guy's talking about.
It's very pretty. It's very aesthetic.
Right.
It's a very sweet.
And Vientos had a nice double, but that doesn't encourage me to think the Mets are going to the postseason because of it.
That's an odd one, man. Let me tell you something right now. I didn't know that I could be more harsh, even though I believe that the Mets are going to be a playoff team now. But if they choke away this opportunity, because the opportunity's there, as unlikely as it seems.
Which is crazy, it's still there.
That's what I'm saying. With the myriad of gaffes, going back to, I forget what game, but it was early, like maybe late April, early May. Brandon Nimmo trying to steal second down, a couple of runs in the 9th inning, and Howie Rose, Gary Cohen rightfully buried him. They were just besides themselves on the air, and they were right. Like all the things, myriad miscues and, deficiencies up and down the roster. The New York Mets right now are going to smoke a guy tonight in Carlos Rodon who looks like he wants no part of what this city is all about, and he is going to get lit up by the fans. We'll get to him later. And then if they can't handle the Nats and the Royals, then the Mets are among the most pathetic stories in the history of New York sports, given the payroll. Like if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, there's always a chance, even though I think they're going to be a playoff team. If I'm wrong, and they flush these games down the chute again, the Yankees are better than the other teams they're playing. If they can't beat the Nats and the Royals, it's despicable. It's just pathetic. It's awful.
Combined with the trade deadline coming up, right?
Everything.
So it's, this is it. We've been talking about the Mets for months, if not, the last several weeks. You're talking about buy, sell. Again, yesterday I said it. Do not sell at this point, and I don't think they will. I think off of last night, now they will not sell. I'd be surprised, as a matter of fact. You mentioned it with the schedule lined up the way it is. The Mets don't want to sell to begin with. I'd be surprised if they didn't add to make this ball club better. And when I say sell, let's just focus on specifically David Robertson, right? So he's the guy that if they do trade him, it's clear like they're selling for this year. They're giving up on this year. But even with that, BT, I believe they're going to add. Yes, the schedule gets soft. It's about them. I don't think this team has it in them to get to the postseason. It's just been frustrating, one thing after another. If it's not the guys beating themselves on the base paths or in the field, it's the bullpen or it's the starters or it's the lineup. There's too much. I don't believe that they can fix it to get to the postseason. Make a run different story to actually get in. I don't see it.
Let's get to Jack in Bergen County on the Fan with BT and Sal. What's going on, Jack? How are you?
Good. One comment made me call when Tiki just said,
Sal, not Tiki.
Last night, right. I think they're going to make the playoffs. That game persuaded him that the Mets are going to make the playoffs?
No. Did you listen to anything that's been said the first 17 minutes of the show, Jack? He backed it up with who they're playing the next 8 games and how Alonso's starting to get hot, McNeil's waking up, and Verlander's been on a 7 or 8 game run where it's basically Cy Young stuff. Did you hear what we said, Jack?
No, I didn't. I only
good job, Jack.
Jack, come on, bro.
Jack.
You're calling up the show. You got to listen to what we're talking about here.
Come on out of here.
I mean, BT.
What's going on here, dude?
God, guys do that all the time.
Those are 2 of the worst 3 calls to start a show in a while.
Sal, why?
One was okay.
What makes you think the Yankees are going to sweep the Royals? I was like, I just did 15 bleeping minutes on it. What makes me? I got to rehash it for you?
Here's more. Here's more evidence for you. I don't know. Their run differential's minus 171, and they're on pace for 50.5 wins. They're as bad as the A's, and they're 29-74.
Right.
That's kind of why I think they might be the Royals. Call me crazy. Beat the Royals. Call me crazy.
Right. And you've given your reasons here why you think the Mets are going to make the ball. Ultimately, gut feel, you think the Mets are going to be one of those teams that get in the end. That's hard for me to believe.
I hear you, because I think that they're going to go at least minimally 6-2 over these next 8, which would get them to 53 and 55. And at that point, they'll have a reinforcement in the bullpen, and then it's go time.
So one thing that the caller did make sense to me was a fair question I was going to get to anyway. How much of this is based off of what was a pretty dominating performance last night?
No, it's not that.
So you've been thinking this for a little while, thinking like, hey, if they show me something here?
I've always, to be fair, not to this degree.
Right.
Okay. But I also wasn't sure if Pete was healthy. I don't know, when you hit, 2 bombs, both bases. One was like 115 exit velo. The other was 109. One was 437 feet to monument to the monuments. Right. The other one was a bullet that would have taken somebody's head off, God forbid, if it would have hit somebody's head. Right. To me, it looks like Pete's suddenly healthy, and McNeil's finding a stroke, and Verlander's good. And I just think that right now, while to answer you more directly, I didn't necessarily think this a week ago. I didn't think this a week ago, but I've always had this part of the schedule circled. I'm like, if they can't manipulate this part, then they've got no shot. And I think they will. At least 6 of the next 8 games, they're going to win. And at that point, every Mets fan right now who thinks I sound nuts, and I get it, probably sounds a little bit out there, you're going to remember this start to the show. You say, wow, of all the guys at the Fan, the guy who plays the Mets song, the guy who some people think...
Yeah, you mock the Mets.
No, I don't mock the Mets.
Met fans were happy I was put here to put you in place with your Met hatred, BT.
I am a truth teller, and it stings a little bit because it's going to come at the expense of my Yankees. The Mets playoff push started last night.